All right, we rarely do this. We rarely have 4 people on the Rewatchables, but that's how good a Bronx Tale is. And we're going to dive into it. And I didn't really know where to start, but Vane, let's start here. I asked you best father-son movies, and I actually did some research on this. And it was interesting to see the lists, how different people feel about the concept of what a father-son movie is. I wrote down, I just had 8. Bronx Tale, Kramer versus Kramer, He Got Game, Field of Dreams, Catch Me If You Can, The Godfather, Lion King, and Boys in the Hood. Those were the 8 that just jumped out. I did that without looking at a list and just racking my brain.
Right. He Got Game is my favorite father-son movie. It is because it's like it deals with so many different areas of fatherhood, and like I understand some of the themes that are there. Some of those movies I wouldn't consider to be father-son movies.
Like what?
I don't know that I consider Catch Me If You Can to be a father-son movie.
But it kind of is, though.
Is it?
Like, we did that for Rewatchables, and I think that's like the sneaky theme of that movie. You agree with that, Sean, or no?
I do. I'm still trying to figure out. So you asked Van the question, the big top of the question beforehand? Like you didn't surprise him?
I don't like to do that with you.
I know.
I like to surprise
I'm still working through the fact that you got to prepare for that idea.
Here's the deal. Affirmative action might be outlawed in America. But here's
the last one. Yeah.
Here's the ring.
You got right under the line.
Yeah. But
it's
you,
alive and
well, we
does
were
not exist
texting
here.
about it.
Right.
I think what I realized as I was thinking about it was how few times father and son is like the major theme of like a famous rewatchable movie. You'd think there'd be like a million of these. Like The Godfather, we talked about when we did the Godfather pod, but I think my favorite scene in The Godfather is when Vito's getting old. Yeah. And he does the hey, whoever comes to you, they're the traitor. And there just wasn't enough time. And I just fucking love that scene. That scene to me makes an already great movie great. But Sierra, why not more father-son stuff, you think?
I think father-son is a theme in a lot of movies. Like there are like symbolic fathers in a lot of films, but Parenthood's a really difficult thing to. Parenthood would be a good father-son movie, I guess, right?
Yeah, Boyhood's another one. I think that.
You know what? What's the Sean Penn, Christopher Walken movie where he?
At Close Range.
At Close Range. That's an amazing father-son movie.
Yeah.
Super complicated about like they're both criminals in that movie, but what really goes on, what's unspoken between fathers and sons. But you're right. There's not a lot of movies that are in the like consecrated 500 greatest movies that are with that theme. I think you're totally
now
right.
That you're talking about it though, like I'm kind of thinking, and a lot of our biggest filmmakers have not made father-son movies. Like,
I wonder why.
Has Spielberg made? Well, I guess Last Crusade's a father-son movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was on some of the list as like The Champ was another one. From way back.
They're also they're father-son movies, but then they're also like father figure movies.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, right. Like Darth
necessarily-
Vader is like
right. Like there's like but there are movies where a lot of movies that are awesome where a kid finds someone who is like a surrogate dad and looks up to him and shepherds him through different things, but it's not necessarily his father.
Yeah.
But it's tough to navigate. It's like to do a real father-son movie, almost either like in this movie, there are times where you hate C, where he's such an asshole to his dad. You know what I mean? Then there are times where I thought that Sonny, we'll get to the hot takes.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who is the better father in this movie.
I would like to discuss that. Yeah.
That's one of the great things about this movie is he's got these kind of 2 father figure authorities that are both basically telling him different things, and he's got to suss out what matters, what doesn't matter. I was when I was growing up, my mom remarried, and my stepdad was totally different than my dad. And some of the things that I learned from him were just completely different than the stuff I learned from my dad. And it actually really helped shape me in a lot of ways. So like Bronx Tale, when it came out.
Like, did your stepdad believe in advanced analytics for sports? He was like, it's all threes and layups.
My stepdad hated Larry Bird and didn't believe in the 86 Celtics. But when this movie came out in 93, I'd known my stepdad for, 14 years, a huge part of my life. And my dad obviously was. So that whole theme of like just these 2 voices in your head coming from different places, and you just have to kind of navigate it.
I think that there's a pretty common experience in people's lives where there is a surrogate father figure that is cooler, but probably a little bit more of a loser than your actual dad.
Right.
Like in reality, like, I mean, you think about like whether it's like an English teacher or a coach or somebody's older brother or somebody else's dad or something like that, like who kind of takes you under their wing, but like your dad is like, I have the responsibility of being a hard ass with you, or like being the one who tells you no and stuff like that.
My father actively sabotaged this. Whenever there was an older person that I started to take a shine to, like really get into,
Yeah.
my father would either tell me all kinds of terrible things about that person, or he would challenge me. He would say, I'm your daddy. And if you want to be with him, let him feed you, clothe you, and put stuff on your back. Like, actively be like, well, the coach at school says I should do it like this. Oh, does coach at school put food in your fat ass mouth? Because I'm the one who has to pay. He didn't want any of that. My father was the most competitive about fatherhood than anything else. So like when I would see those movies, like he never liked this film. He never liked this movie. This movie was a big deal when it came out. It was like, this was Robert De Niro's passion project.
Yeah.
You got to check it out. We watched it. He hated it because of the way C treated his dad.
I mean, the movie cuts pretty close to the surface for me because it's my family is from this part of the world.
Yeah,
both my parents are from this part of the world, and they didn't grow up like in organized crime or anything like that. But the attitudes of all the people and sort of like what is the path of light and what is the path of darkness, especially for Catholic families growing up in the boroughs of New York, is very real. I think it's just such an interesting choice by De Niro. It's like you can really overread the psychology of his life by thinking about him making this decision and where he's from and what he believes in and what his interests are and what his taste is. It's a fascinating document. I never had personally I didn't have a stepfather. I didn't have an older brother. I didn't really have like a person who...
No English teacher who was like...
Sure,
this is the cool
maybe
books.
for small periods of my life, but nobody who like persisted the way that Sonny does for C. So I think that when you don't have that, you have to like invent that. You know, you have to like I look up to a lot of people I don't know because I was probably searching for that, for someone who could guide me. Like my obsession with Martin Scorsese is probably rooted in the fact that I didn't have that. So it's interesting. I mean, it's just a great idea for a movie. Like I'm even just looking at the poster right now and it's like him trapped between the two heads is such a perfect concept for what this movie is really about. You know, he really wants to be inside of both of their heads and live both of their lives.
Yeah. And I love how, like, what is he, 9 years old?
Mm-hmm.
The first version of C, and then 17. And those are kind of the two moments in life when you're really shaped. You're not quite an adult yet when you're 17, but you're smart enough to kind of know some of the things you should know, but you also know that you don't know a lot of the things you should know. And when you're 9, you're just super impressionable and you're going to follow.
Yeah, you're just
whoever.
waiting for the person to tell you, like, we're all into skateboarding now. And you're like, okay, well, I'm into skateboarding now.
Right,
and I'm going to go home and tell my parents, like, skateboarding is the central preoccupation of my life. And then 2 weeks later, it's going to be Mortal Kombat. You know, like...
Right. Well, like when Sonny says, this kid loves the Yankees, right? His whole life revolves around the Yankees. And in 2 minutes, Sonny kills it.
Yeah.
He's like, Mickey Mantle doesn't care about you. Does he put food on your table? And it's just like, that's it. He's just out on the Yankees just from a 2-minute conversation.
And thinking about that, like, that reminds me of my own life, but I also saw that a lot. Like, he's on the bus with his father and he likes it. He likes going around places with his dad. He likes cleaning up the bus. He likes all the things that his father are into. But it's really like this sort of capture because he doesn't really have any other choices. And a lot of things that parents go through, my dad went through this, I've seen other fathers go through it, is the moment that your kid has a choice between you and between what the world is offering them, oftentimes they choose the world. And that hurts not only the family dynamic, but it's like a shot at the masculinity of the father, the strength of the father, and like, how do you work through that point? Because the guy's going to be your dad forever. And the world is probably going to spit you back out. So that's kind of what the movie is talking about as well. And like, that was a real thing. I got into sports and I wanted to go do that. I didn't want to be around my dad anymore. I wanted to watch The Grind on MTV. You know what I mean? I wanted to do all that stuff. He wasn't into that. I didn't want to watch Bonanza no more. So, like,
you're like, Dad, what about Vivica A. Fox?
What about Vivica A. Fox? It's not
talk about her?
Like Jane Kennedy, although it was about Jane Kennedy.
Like,
and all
still,
that.
it's still about Jane Kennedy.
Eric Nice guy? Or?
It wasn't Eric Nice.
Okay.
Like The Grind moved to Miami Beach.
Yeah, what a revelation from Van.
Oh
The
my
Grind.
God. You guys are so full of shit.
I used to watch Grind.
You come home, you put on the TV. I would rush home as a kid. It's 3:30. The Grind is on. Eric is on there for like 2 seconds. And it's they're in Miami Beach. There's girls everywhere. I'm 14. What do you want from me?
See, I'm older than you. I was just hanging out with adult women at that point in my life.
Wow.
Oh,
I didn't
wow.
need the grind.
Wow. Adult
Hanging out
women.
with adult women.
Yeah.
That sounded very natural. coming out of your mouth.
My version of that,
Bill's getting it. Whoa.
my
Bill.
version of that was 10 years earlier, just MTV videos.
Mhm.
And like,
Yeah.
Rio, the Duran Duran video, just being like, I'm going to watch this 135 times
Yeah.
because there's a cute girl in it.
You cranked
You
it
know
to the
what?
grind or no?
I know, but
He hosted
video
it for the last
jukebox
year.
was a
Video jukebox.
video jukebox was
Okay.
and Two Live Crew videos were
There you go.
informative.
Nice.
You said something interesting. I know you were kind of just joking, but you were talking about your dad being like, "Do they put food in your mouths?" Right?
Yeah.
I think one of the other cool things about this movie, one of the major themes, is this like kind of turning point in that American century where there's this identity for immigrant families of like, we moved here and sacrificed everything to make a better life for our kids. And Robert De Niro is like, I do what I do, everything I do. I drive a bus 6 days a week so that you have clothes on your back and food to eat at night. And it's a simple life, but it's like an honest
But we
one.
don't even have a car.
And that's the kid. It's
Yeah.
like this snap where the kid is just like, I don't want to drive a bus. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I've actually broken that spell, and like mass media and my sports and music and culture and the Beatles are coming along. Is like, you know what? I don't think that's for me. And that's like the way that they grapple with this movie. I mean, this movie is in a lot of ways so simple and so straightforward and so honest that it's kind of like, oh yeah, you really just distilled this idea down of like what must have happened in the late 60s for a lot of people, a lot of families.
Also, to capture the 60s the way they did for what the 60s were, for better and worse, and the De Niro bus driver generation of, my parents moved here and they raised me and they were just happy that they lived here. And then I'm just happy I have a job. And then the next generation's like, nah, I want a little more than that. So you have that piece. You have the racism that's through this movie that just is so authentic. And just like that first time when the bus drives by and you just see that kid the kid in the bus staring at seeing his friends, and it's just like, all right, we're doing this too. And so you're balancing that, and then you're balancing him finding, the first girl he ever loved and the concept of the three great ones. And then, your life can change with one bad decision, which is something I talk to my son about all the time. My son's in bad decision range, right? He's a sophomore in high school. And he's starting to go out.
Yeah.
He's got people like Uncle Van, like, Ben, go get some. Get out there. Do your thing, Ben.
I like Ben. Ben's got a lot of personality to Ben. This is your time.
Yeah.
No, you know what's funny about the movie? It's like it is Ben. This is your time, man. The funny thing about the movie is like, and it might have been different. Maybe I was different, but watching the movie last night was the first time that I realized that, his crew were racial terrorists.
Yeah.
Like
Slick and Crazy Mario should be in like a criminal lockdown.
Yeah, he's basically racist little Joe Pesci.
They're
from
the villains of the
Goodfellas.
movie. Yeah, they're the villains.
And it was. I'm watching it, and I'm sitting there with Kalika. She's like, "What is this?" Because it's one thing to hey, the black kids come through with it, and then it's like, "No, we gotta kill it." It got comical after a while.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that was lost on me when I first looked at the movie. But that's like the fact that all this progress is bundled together. Like C is not like his friends, and they're being forced into this progress. Like the movie is really about like traditional values versus what it is that you're learning your own values to be.
Well, think about when it's set, too.
Yeah.
1968. It's the single most tumultuous year we probably had as a country
Yeah.
in the last 50.
Yeah, it jumped out to
50
me too that
plus.
it's not 1860 or 1920. Like it's recent history.
Yeah.
Like the idea that those two communities are like really bashing heads in that way, in such a violent way in the movie is profound. It like definitely still resonates.
It's also like a great trick he pulls, that De Niro pulls, and that I guess the script between him and Palminteri pulls, where it's like, this is really only going to take place over 3 blocks. But when you're a kid, your POV is that 3 blocks is like the whole world.
Yeah.
And the idea of a neighborhood, and he refers to it a lot, De Niro and Palminteri in interviews about it being like almost like a medieval village. And like this idea that this is the entire arena of your life takes place in like these 4 or 5
Don't you
square
guys
blocks.
feel like this is exactly what New York City was like, though, where there was just these pockets and people were here and they were here and they were here, and you just kind of stayed in your pocket?
I mean, it is. It is. Like the movie shot in Astoria, which is where my mom's entire family grew up. I've been to that part of the world, spent a lot of time there. and all of my mom's uncles and aunts and her mom were all first generation, and playing stickball in the street and, you know, running around with your friends and seeing the wise guy in the corner is like, that was life. That was just your lifestyle. I think it's like a very, very, very accurate representation of what it was like that time.
She mentions she's from East New York, and he never even heard of it.
Yep.
Like, he doesn't even know what it is. So it's obviously obvious that, you know, he's in his bubble. I also think that the 60s are America's adolescence in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And America's like litigating all these things that they didn't have to litigate before. So I always wonder about kids that grew up in the 60s that had their adolescence in the same time that the country was changing dynamics and priorities and all of that stuff. And you, in this movie, you have somebody who seems open to those changes and is really curious about them. And then you have a lot of other people who are not, who are telling him the way that the world works and how things are supposed to be.
Trying to save the old way.
Trying to save the old way. Some of those people are authority figures and some of them are his friends.
Yeah, we had that. I mean, we had a similar situation in the Boston area in the mid 70s because that's when busing happened. And it was basically a lot of the stuff in this movie was the kind of toned down version of it. But same thing, like, no, we're here and you stay here and you stay here. And that's how this is going to go. As an Italian movie, am I the only Italian in this podcast?
Yeah.
Half the time. To me, Bronx Tale is always, oh, my mom's so sad.
Right.
Godfather 1 and 2.
Did you think one of us was Italian?
I didn't know if anybody had like a little blood.
I'm out.
I figured Van was no.
My middle name is
Van was a
actually
no.
Colosio.
Godfather 1 and 2, Goodfellas, Bronx Tale, Sopranos, and then it's like kind of an individual call on my cousin Vinny, depending on the family and the people. But those were like the iconic Italian pop culture. And then I had Sinatra's Main Event. But if you just like take all of that, that's the foundation. And the point is, I do think Bronx Tale is in that conversation with the other ones for how it's aged and evolved. The fact that De Niro was in it. We even have De Niro and Pesci, even though they're not in a scene, they kind of are in the one scene where they at least cross paths. The moment that this movie came out, where we had Godfather 3, we had Goodfellas. We had this, Casino's coming, even though, you know, that's a little less of an Italian movie. But this was kind of the glory years of this Italian pop culture. I think part of it was because Godfather had been around long enough that it had become an institution by the early 90s, where it was like that movie had a 20-year shelf life. It was on TV all the time. Then it was on VHS. The DVD era was coming for it, and it just became like the most quoted movie we had. And I think it started to open the door for that era.
Yeah, I feel like there's a bigger kind of end of century thing going on with the mafia too, where in a lot of ways the 20th century is kind of dominated by the mafia, and so it takes a long time for the culture to kind of catch up to that and to like represent it and regurgitate it. And so you like in the second half of the 20th century, you've got all these great works of art. Yeah. And they're all kind of like riffing on something that was more powerful really before. You know, like this is like John Gotti time too. And when he is starting to come down and racketeering and RICO and all that stuff is starting to come into the culture in New York, which kind of, you know, organized crime still exists, but it's not what it was in 1980.
And you know, like I think Sonny is more like Vito Corleone than he is like Sonny Corleone, where he's kind of like, I don't want guns in the neighborhood. Guns bring down the heat. We would all get pinched if you like when Dominic Lombardozzi is selling guns, he's like, get this shit out of here. So it's like when you think about it, the mafia is really they've gotten a lot of outsized representation in the media, considering it was like kind of a 30-year run, you know, maybe like about that, and then it kind of gets really corrupted in the late 60s and 70s and becomes much more criminal, I think, in a lot of
more
ways.
Deviant. Yeah, drugs and prostitution and things beyond just running numbers.
I don't want to get over my skis. Oddly enough, I'd put Saturday Night Fever in that Italian movie situation.
That's fair.
When I was watching
that's a good one. Yeah. I think you're right.
No, I think the thing with the mafia is that the mask came off at some point. And there's this more morality that goes into it. And, you know, even in this movie, there's this cultural omerta that exists in the neighborhood that's influenced by the omerta that exists in the mafia. And it seems like there's a shared value system that the wise guys that ran the neighborhoods had with the people that were in the neighborhoods. It seems like everybody was almost kind of together in a way. And then what happens is you start to realize like how much murdering, killing, backstabbing, deviant behavior. You start hearing stories about, look, this guy killed like 30 people. They tortured this one person. And then it stopped being a lot of the rules that they said that they adhered to. It was all kind of bullshit. And it became about who had the most money.
Was this the height of John Gotti? This was right around
This time,
This is
right?
this is when that kind of gets dropped in there, right? And you start to know that this guy's actually mad at this guy sleeping with his wife, and this guy just kills people for fun. And I feel like Goodfellas is kind of the movie that's an indictment of that.
Oh yeah,
Like you kind of see guys are just killing each other for no reason in these terrible.
It's also like
terrible
the
ways.
change from Paulie to Jimmy. It's like
Exactly.
Paulie is like, we all sit around and eat sausage and like we fix the neighborhood and keep it safe or whatever, and we take our piece.
And then you watch
And Jimmy is like, it's cocaine and silencers.
right,
Yeah.
and killing everybody. You watch this movie, it's like that's kind of the guy that they told you that the neighborhood mafia guy was. Like it was a protection racket, and he was, making money because maybe Italians were marginalized when they first came into America, and there's a morality to it. And I think by this point and like moving on, it was gone. And that's almost what The Sopranos litigated too as well. Tony became a terrible, terrible, terrible person, but he was also a family man. So it's like, which side of him did you that resonated with you more?
I'm gonna get off my Stephen A. Smith hottest take right now. You guys can do yours later when we adhere to the format. I think Bronx Tale influenced The Sopranos more than any other movie, but I don't think people think that. I think people feel like it came out of like this whole Godfather, Goodfellas, like that, and they use people from both of those movies, but Sonny and Tony Soprano, I think, are very close. And a lot of the stuff Sonny cares about, where it's like, I need to be in my neighborhood. I need to be around the stuff. I like to know what's going on. My feet are on the floor. I don't miss anything. I'm an anti-hero, but I'm weirdly likable at the same time. I'm really self-aware of what's happening around me, but I'm also my own worst enemy in a lot of ways. Like, I feel like Tony Soprano and Sonny are really close.
I think Tony's idea of masculinity, fatherhood, and leadership is represented in Sonny when you think about his relationship to his uncle in the show and his idea of his dad and the way that it kind of haunts him. But Tony is so not Sonny. I mean, he's a monster. He's vicious and awful to women and violent and not like he has the idea of a code, but he doesn't really live by that code. So he's like kind of the corrupted screensaver version of Sonny in a lot of ways. It definitely influenced it, but the same way that like his obsession with John Wayne and Gary Cooper and all those like American ideals of masculinity throughout the show that are also fake, that are also not real. Like this he's like poisoned by the idea of what he thinks he should be, which then like you guys have talked about this when you talk about The Sopranos, but like that filters down to AJ, right? And AJ doesn't know how to be a man because he has this fucked up idea of what it means to be a man. It's definitely a huge influence.
It's hard because I feel like Bronx Tale hews pretty closely to like it sees POV. So the things we see Sonny do are the things that sees Sonny do.
Yeah, we don't see his family. We have no idea what his relationship with his woman. We
There's
know
a woman
he's a
at
bad
the end
guy.
of the movie
we know there's
who's
some tough
crying
stuff.
because he gets killed. But there's not like a lot of like, I know that there's some wandering camera stuff and some narration that kind of explains who these guys are and maybe what they're doing. But like, I think part of the greatness of this movie is the ambiguity of like what happened with the parking space. You know what I mean? Like, it's like it doesn't get in. It can't know more than what C knows.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but Joe Pesci's in the last scene. Did you realize that?
Man, it was so crazy.
That's who comes in. It's Joe Pesci.
I would never saw it in the theaters, but it felt like an applause moment.
Yeah.
Like from a Marvel guy.
Yeah.
That like, when Andrew Garfield pops on the screen and then there's a weird, and then it's in the script. The wait for it felt like an applause moment. It was fantastic to see him. I will say this though about the Tony comparison is I think Tony maybe starts The Sopranos as Sonny. He starts The Sopranos as a guy who had all of these moral obligations to his mother, to his family. And the beautiful thing about it is it mutates from this idea of what we think a moral fatherly mafia guy is to what we actually knew them to be in real life. His mom tries to kill him. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? A lot of stuff starts to go wrong. He gets in a turf battle with his uncle. Family ends up becoming secondary to him grabbing power. So I think just in the comparison between those two shows, like a lot went on that changed that character. And when I watched this movie, it is sort of there's nothing that's not likable about Sonny. Like Sonny,
except him with De Niro's character, where you're like, all right, that's that dude's dad. Like maybe don't have your goons punch him in the stomach.
Yeah, but even still though,
he's got to keep the respect on the street.
He does shoot a man in cold blood.
In the beginning of the movie.
But once again, though, he shoots a man in cold blood, but he's coming to the defense of someone. And
he does have his lead guy ask him, should I take care of Lorenzo, the bus driver? And he's like,
he said no.
But look, he thought about it though.
Yeah.
He
took the meeting.
I look back at the movie and Chazz wrote the screenplay, right?
Yeah.
And so I can tell that Chazz wrote Sonny as a guy that he would play. De Niro's character is a racist. And Sonny tells him, who cares? Go get with the girl. There are things in the movie where Sonny is supposed to be.
That's the most interesting note of the movie.
Right.
Is this guy who's this old school leader who reads Machiavelli in prison and kills people in cold blood is like, we're all equal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to fuck her? Great.
Yeah, love
like,
who you are.
She might be one of your great ones. So I don't know.
He's like, I'm going to go march with Dr. King next week.
Well, you
I'm
think
not
about
going
how
to be
the
here.
movie starts, and it's just like the doo-wop is on every corner, and the streets are wet down, and like he's talking about the Yankees and all this bullshit, and then Sonny is that romance, right? His dad is the buzzkill. His dad is the one who's like, get ready to fucking drive a bus 6 days a week because that's what life is. And then you're going to have a kid and your life will just be your kids, just like mine is yours, and Sonny's the one who's like, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Like we can make money. We can drive nice cars. We can go to the races.
Sounds great.
You know what I say?
That's how I corrupted Sean.
Why not both? Why not both? We can't have both?
Yeah,
we can have both.
Yeah.
Right? Bill, you've got both.
I have it all, man.
Yeah.
Unlike Sonny, who got shot in the head.
But what are you going to do when Ben's like, I have no interest in content?
He's like, Ben's like, I want to be a bus driver. So we went like 25 minutes there and we didn't even talk about the craziest thing about this movie is the wasted talent piece. And the whole theme of this movie is the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And this is C's big lesson in the movie. It's said to him over and over again by his dad. He says it to Sonny at the end. And the actor who's doing the Lillo Brancato Jr. is really good in this movie. And when I left the theater in 1993, it was like that guy, it was the same as Liotta and Goodfellas. It's like, that guy's going to be a guy. And you're just like, I have season tickets for that guy now. I'm now rooting for this actor.
Yeah.
And he showed up in Sopranos, season 2?
Matthew Bevilacqua.
Yeah.
Drink water.
And it was like, oh, this guy, he's back. But
Right.
we didn't know anything about all the personal issues he has. He ends up going to jail. He's in a robbery. Somebody dies. It was an off-duty cop. And he's on the cover of the New York Post. And it says wasted talent.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow this guy ended up living the message of the movie in the worst possible way. And now when you watch the movie, it's hard not to think about that, right?
Yeah.
You just watched, you went deep dived on this one.
Well, Amazon told me to. Amazon said, hey, wasted talent. I watched the documentary, and it's one of those documentaries that you see. It's very customary. You see a guy who had all of this promise, and he had a bad beat, and he's talking about it, but it's through the lens of this huge, huge, huge break. It's not like it's not an odd story. You see the story all the time. It's not something that's out of the ordinary.
He's basically Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, or Johnny Manziel, or what's your man from Terminator 2, Edward Furlong,
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
You see this, but it's just ironic because of the underlying message of this film, and it ends up becoming his life. And he still hasn't really come to terms with all of it.
I mean, he recently got out
yeah.
of jail and he's clean.
Mhm.
Or at least like the last time I read about him, that was the case. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the story, right? Is that
Yeah, the
he was
documentary
doing
he did with
drugs
himself,
while making this movie.
Yeah.
And Chazz and De Niro were telling him, like, hey, you got one chance here. Like you
Yeah.
cannot fuck this
And
up.
it was like a
And he fucked
lottery
it up.
hit, like the way they found him. Like it wasn't like he was like an up and coming actor who was in sitcoms and stuff like that. This wasn't DiCaprio. It was they picked him out of like thousands of kids in New York City.
I mean, worst case scenario, he would have been a better part on The Sopranos than the part he played. He was only in Sopranos, what, like 5-6 episodes?
Yeah, then he gets killed. He asks for a Diet Coke. Don't you want some with some sugar? That sugarless motherfucker's gonna be the last thing.
He would have at least been Jackie Aprile Jr.
Jackie Aprile Jr. is another guy. Like I thought the guy was gonna take off, and then he had some problems after it. But yeah, it was good to just see him acting again because I hadn't seen him in anything. He popped up, was like, oh, I know who that guy is.
Yeah. This was also a famous Hollywood success story where Chazz Palminteri, there's a one-man show. Everyone wanted to buy the rights for a year, and he did the Sly Stallone Rocky I'm betting on myself move.
Yeah.
Which is, we always hear about the ones that work. I'm sure there's been other ones where it's like, I'm betting on myself. And
I think
never
there's a
hear
lot
about the
of
movie.
one-man shows playing somewhere in Santa Monica right now where somebody is like, I'm waiting for my big call
Yeah,
here.
I'm going to do the Stallone Chazz Palminteri.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
he
was
looks
like
out
40 when this happens, right?
Right. But De Niro sees it and goes nuts.
Yeah.
And De Niro's like, this is the one for me. This is my directorial debut. I want this.
He's still doing this as a one-man show. He just did it in my hometown at the Paramount Theater.
I saw
like
that
a few
on
months
YouTube.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does every year. He goes to the Paramount Theater in my hometown and he does this show because obviously on Long Island, this movie is a big
It's
deal.
kind of wild to see the YouTube clips. I haven't seen the show on stage, but if you watch the YouTube clips, it's like he's playing every part. Like he's telling the story, but then he does the mom. Like it's kind of like disorienting to see.
How is it different than your one-man show?
Where I'm Nick Sirianni.
You're playing all the characters in the Philadelphia
I'm teaching
sports
dog
scene?
culture to all my guys. Yeah, it's quite a success story.
I mean, he really goes into Hollywood, though. I mean, he's in The Usual Suspects like a year later.
Yeah.
He's opposite Cher in a movie like 2 years later. Like he really
He gets
became
anointed.
He
a
becomes
staple.
like the man.
Yeah.
Like, he's the guy.
And then
Felt
De
like he was
Niro's-
a major star for like 5 years.
5-6 years,
Yeah.
he was around. for
De
sure.
Niro does the thing where he's like, let's do this. I'll write it with you. I'm going to play Lorenzo and I'm going to direct, but I will, because I'm doing all this, like, and I'm going to be in it, we're going to lock it down that you get to play Sonny. Because I think that people had been interested in him buying the rights to the play, but probably wanted De Niro to play Sonny. You know, that
Right,
would be the one.
right.
And I actually really liked him as the bus driver. This is such a great De Niro stretch, basically from Midnight Run.
Oh, 1995
all the way through
is like
Heat.
one of the
It's
best
just-
runs.
He's lighting it up. He's Goodfellas. He's amazing. He's, he starts to act more where he's in multiple movies a year. He's Cape Fear, which we've done in Rewatchables. And
I think we've
everything
almost
leads
done
to
like
Heat.
all of the movies from 1995. Let me look.
yeah, and each character feels different than the last one.
Yes, it's like
This
him going
one's the
from
most
Cape Fear to
restrained.
this is, in This Boy's Life and Goodfellas, like all in this little stretch, totally
Right.
different kinds of parts.
This boy's life.
There's like a softness and a vulnerability here that I didn't think that he was capable of giving off anymore. He had been such a dude in these movies for so long. Even in Heat, he's not like boisterous or anything like that, but there's this burning ember
Still,
of like intensity that it's throughout the whole movie. But this one, he really is the everyman. Like when he walks in there to talk to Sonny, like you're scared for him. You're like, oh, this guy's in over his head.
He's so good at being like, I know I'm in over my head, but I have to say this.
Right. I respect you, but this is my family. And you just wondered if it was ever going to happen to him. And I guess it didn't, but I guess, he did take a shot to the soul.
The scene right after that is the one that is the most heartbreaking to me when he's scolding C outside and he hits him and then he starts apologizing for hitting him. I mean, that's like, and then he picks him up and he's holding his head. Like that's really, for De Niro, he doesn't do a lot of scenes like that are like that quiet,
I agree.
that like vulnerable and soft.
I actually thought I had this later, but this is the most like functional marriage he's ever had in a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing to think that this and This Boy's Life is the same year,
We didn't put that in father-son movie.
I had it written down.
Not
This Boy's
exactly.
Life.
Not quite the same.
It's my double
Dwight.
feature.
I feel like maybe I don't need a dad.
You'll remember me.
This movie had a $10 million budget and only made $17.3 million. And there's a whole backstory where it got dumped, but it ended up, De Niro said, fuck it, I'll produce this with Tribeca Productions. And in an era where that just didn't happen a lot. And, I think Coppola had done his own production company that had been a horror show and lost a lot of money. And I think just the concept of actors just having their own. I mean, how many were there at that point? 90, 92, 93?
Not too many, at least not that we're
Now
consistently
everyone
making
has one.
productions, but it's so common now.
Yeah. Like literally, if you had 2 successful movies, you start a production company. Back
Like,
then,
he also
did not
made
work.
it like an empire. I mean, he
Yeah.
really made it more than just we make movies. I mean, he's
Oh,
now
yeah.
like real estate mogul and a film festival and all this
Yeah.
other stuff that
He
he
bought
does.
it on Nobu.
Yeah, Nobu. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird that he's also feels like he has to make 9 movies a year when he's so successful.
He's
at all
such
these
an
different
interesting
things.
guy, though. Like when you read interviews from this time period, he's like, they'll be like, "So did you review the films of Scorsese, or did you go back to Visconti to see Italian life portrayed?" And he was like, "No, I don't really watch movies that much." Like he's kind of like, almost like it's like all natural to him. It's
Yeah.
not like an intellectual.
He
pursuit.
never intellectualizes the process of acting, what the material is. Never. Every interview is monosyllabic. And even you can tell he's very intelligent. He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
But he refuses to engage in like the circus of artistry. You know, like he just,
You know
like,
what he's
I'm
like?
doing the thing.
He does the Bill Belichick.
Same thing.
I'm just going to have the most boring press conference possible.
Except in the last 6 years, 5 or 6 years, basically every interview he does, he just goes in on Trump.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
he'll
Yeah,
be like
he's
in an
been doing
actors
that for a while.
roundtable for the Irishman, and they're like, "Bob, what was your process like for the Irishman?" Like, "Well, I didn't want to be a piece of shit like Donald Trump." And everybody at the table is like, shit, this is going viral." Like,
You know what I think about the movie, and maybe the reception of it is I think a lot of people went to A Bronx Tale expecting one film and then they got another film.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people thought because of the era that we were in, especially with De Niro and some of the other movies that were out, I think they were thinking this was going to be another mob classic,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a movie about family. It's a movie about coming of age. It's a movie about a lot of things, and it eats around the edges of all that other mafia in New York and the 60s type of stuff. I think people were going maybe expecting to see a couple of more people get whacked. And
yeah,
expecting something.
AFI has it in its 10 greatest gangster movies ever list, which I don't know when they updated this, but I would not put it in my 10 greatest gangster. I don't think of it as a mafia movie.
I don't
or a
either.
gangster movie.
It's more of like in that father-son Italian thing. I also think, so it came out in September 93. 93 was just an incredible movie year, and a shitload of awesome, entertaining movies came out, and it was an onslaught, and it was easy to get lost. And it
Mhm.
took, some of the movies were a slow burn. Like Shawshank was like that. Shawshank
Yeah.
got lost and then, belatedly had a moment. Our guy Raj,
Love this shit.
my dude.
Loved it.
I mean, no surprise.
Yeah.
Story, character, 4 stars. He said it was very funny, very touching, filled with life and call for characters and great lines of dialogue. De Niro, in his debut as director, finds the right notes as he moves from laughter to anger to tears while retaining its values. Why do you think De Niro didn't direct more? Too hard?
It's a lot of work. And I think he knew he could do a little better financially just by acting in the things. I mean,
So
he
he-
likes to work. He's made so many movies in the
This
last
and
30 years.
Good Shepherd?
Good Shepherd is his only other movie, yeah. Which I don't think will be appearing on the Rewatchables anytime soon.
He's working with the ladies, too.
Mm.
Pretty legendary
Yeah.
reputation, man.
Yeah, we know how it goes.
Yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah.
So, but-
I have a feeling that might
this
come
is a
up.
huge part of this movie.
Yeah, how does the community, do you want to hit this quick?
well, so when I watched it,
There's an underlying theme.
I watched it through this lens, and there are some things that happen in the movie that aren't very realistic. Like, C drops the N word, and then we just move on.
Yeah.
It's,
Like,
I have that coming up later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
like we just
it's
move
tough
on.
one.
You at least gotta say sorry, right? We at least need you to do
Even 1968. It's probably a sorry.
I would think that it
I
would.
would
Be,
ho- I would hope it is.
It was sorry. We just kind of move on, but no, like that's. I would say to the actress Terrell Hicks, she is so beautiful in this movie, right? She looks. You can tell the way the camera is lingering on her.
Yeah.
There's a director that likes him a black lady. like I'm just being for real. Just like when it, like that that's my Great Shot Gordo award. It's just she's in the bus and we go back and forth and back and
Oh,
back.
holds it on her.
It holds it on it. Like
Yeah.
De Niro appreciates the beauty of this beautiful
He
black
milks
woman.
every scene with her.
Yeah.
And there's not really a lot of substance with any of the scenes, but it's just the camera just like being like, wow,
But
look at this.
it really works for the movie because
Yeah.
obviously De Niro has a relationship to black women and his attraction to them, and so does C. C is drawn to this woman. He is intoxicated by her, and like Chris said, like the movie is shot through his POV. So of course, like the camera's going to linger on her and follow her around, and because he's getting obsessed with her.
You know, I had this later, but I'll do it now for What's Age the Best. It's an Italian movie thing that I think has been a common theme, the Thunderbolt moment. Because that's like the best one's Michael Corleone with Apollonia, where it's like, oh, and the guy's like says in Italian, oh, he's been struck by the bolt. And it happens to see in this movie. Ray Liotta, when what's her face, Lorraine Bracco starts yelling at him, and he kind of gets the belated Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
But that is like a big Italian concept of, I knew instantly that was my girl. I was going to end up with her. So I have a great transition, guys. I've only done this a couple times with the rewatchables when there's lessons from the movie. I can't remember. What did we do? We did this
Shawshank, I think.
Yeah, and I think we did it with Goodfellas, maybe. There's been a couple. There's so many lessons from the Bronx Tale. I would say it's, I don't know if John Hollinger's final stats, but maybe the highest lesson per minute of any movie. I'm going to give you some of them. We could talk about them.
Sure.
The whole concept of, is it better to be feared or loved? Where Sonny he tells C how he read Machiavelli in prison, and he runs his gang, and he realizes, I'd rather be feared than loved.
What do
want
you
to give
think?
him a little bit, but not too much. Well, but it's like the basic concept of the movie, right?
Yeah.
And how somebody's a boss.
Chris is one of the few people I know who is loved. Who is like, there's not a lot of controversy around that.
Around
so what's
CR?
it like?
Well, we'll find out when my tell-all comes out. Like, and it's like Sean Fennessey, anonymous source quotes about how I used to.
I'm actually writing the piece.
terrorize you. Yeah,
They're not going to even believe it. You're going to be the ones, because there are certain people that those things come out about.
Yeah.
And we just all pretend like it didn't happen. You just all go, nah, man, not that guy. That's how they're going to do with you.
Yeah, the Ahsoka fans are going to do it.
Yeah, the Ahsoka fans will come out because they're looking for your stuff.
Yeah.
They're looking through trying to
Going
dig
through
up
the
their
files.
own.
Yeah.
Digging through those spin reviews, 2003.
That's right.
What racial epithets did you drop in those, Chris?
Well, the lesson is C realizes he wants to be loved, but it was actually probably better for Sonny to be feared, right? So that's how he had to run his whole thing. And like, this was the fundamental theme of The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Tony had to learn how to be feared, and he was close to all these people, and even how he dealt with like Paulie and Christopher. Like at some point, he had to get those guys to fear him as well as love him.
Yeah, and that the isolation drives him crazy. Like you don't get the impression that happens to Sonny. We don't really see that because we only see it through C. But like that, usually when you are that kind of a person, you become increasingly paranoid, and you're constantly thinking about your relationship to other people and make sure that they see me in this light, as opposed to, we're friends, we're hanging out. That's it. There's nothing more complicated than that. As soon as you get into the hierarchy of power, it's crazy.
It comes together at the end when they're in the car after, and he's explaining like, I can't believe you didn't realize that I wouldn't have put the bomb in your car. And he's like, I don't trust anybody. And he's like, and C just says, that's a terrible way to live.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that? So you have that. We also learn trouble is like a cancer. You got to get it out early. It gets too big and then it kills you. That's what Sonny says.
Mm-hmm.
That's honestly just a great lesson, whether you're running whatever, whether you're running a sports team, anything, whether you're running the Philadelphia Sixers with James Harden.
Yeah, I knew you were going to do that. Right, honestly.
You look annoyed.
Well, I was going to make a joke, but I'm not going to make a joke. Go ahead.
Was it a Boston sports
It
joke?
was an Aaron Hernandez joke.
Oh!
That's a good comeback. See, I don't deny it.
Well, we're treading into dangerous ground
That's
here.
a
You know
good-
what I mean? I'm just saying, like,
Yeah. Better to be loved than feared.
Right.
How about this lesson? Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
I love that
Worry
one.
about yourself, your family, the people that are important to you. I love this lesson. I think it's so true. Everybody spends so much time worrying about these fucking anonymous people they're never going to run into, all these tiny people in these little pockets. Like, worry about the people in your life and your family. And I believe in that lesson.
You never hear this kind of thing in movies. I love
No.
that part
Yeah.
of it. It's like it's not an original thought, but it's something people think about. And it's like, you can see that it's a real affirmation of Palminteri's experience in the world. I love that part.
Well, and then it gets banged home at the funeral, right? And say it's a great shot. C's just looking around. He's watching how everybody's interacting.
Mhm.
with each other, and they didn't give a shit that Sonny was dead, and one guy's imitating him falling down.
But to me though, that's an indictment on Sonny. Sonny chose that.
Right?
Like Sonny,
but he said he chose it.
Yeah, Sonny chose, right. Sonny chose. And so that's why nobody cares unless you allow them the oxygen not to care. Like if you say you rather have fear than love, well, then there's some people in that room that were probably relieved that he was dead.
Yeah.
Because they were scared of him.
It opened up a new territory for them.
If they loved him, you get
Eddie the Mush has like a whole new credit line.
A whole new credit line, right?
So
if they loved him, you get a room full of people crying like that you're gone. You know, so it just depends.
Well, that's the other one. That's a spinoff of that is fear lasts longer than love is another lesson that we learned that. I don't know if I agree with that, but that's was
definitely
a
bullshit.
hypothesis.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all.
From Sonny that I actually disagree with. I'm with you, but it was a lesson. A rat is the lowest thing you can be in my neighborhood was another lesson. I would have gone with pedophile. I don't know. I would have gone rat number 2, maybe. But that was a lesson.
Should we do the Deviant Power rankings?
Yeah, we can do it later. We'll save it.
If you rat out a pedophile, like, is that a get out of jail free card?
Sometimes in life, you got to do certain things, even though they're not right. I considered it.
You consider that? You don't think that's true?
I think it depends what kind of business you're in.
Yeah.
You let Chris record the watch every week. That's not right.
Yeah.
Right.
He shouldn't get to do that. But we do it.
Like
when Van,
do it. When Van said Mallory has to get off the Ringerverse, I want this feed for myself.
Never said that. Right. By the way, they're gonna believe you. Like never said that.
The door test. So the door test is now defunct because we don't have buttons that you pull up and down.
It's still
the door test is still the best.
Here's the thing about the door test.
The door test is the fucking best.
The door test has fucked me up a couple of times. I shouldn't be disinvested into movies, right? Because like you do the whole door test thing and you see it in the movie because that stuff has like the Bronx Tale has this. You know this, Sean. You wrote for Vibe. The Bronx Tale has this life in hip hop.
Yeah.
Right? Like Sonny from Bronx Tale, you can't leave. Like, and there's a video where the door test is in there. So we tried the door test. Man, the door test has a low conversion rate, guys. It does. The door test, they don't be thinking about that. They're nervous. They're looking at themselves. They're doing all kinds of stuff.
Right. They're sneaking a peek in the
They're
mirror.
doing the whole deal. And you get in the driver's seat. And you're thinking, you're like, this motherfucker right here didn't even open the door for me. It's like, whatever. Like, where you want to go? Nowhere. I want to go back home. Because you're selfish woman. So the door test is not something that has worked for me over the course of my life. I've won. And Kalika's not that person. She didn't do the door test.
Have you ever said to a woman, you're a selfish woman?
No.
Okay.
No, but really,
I'd like to know how that plays.
I just want to let you know, like, I don't say anything to women that could be perceived as negative.
Okay.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Okay.
That's great.
Whatever
you're
another lesson
You're
from the
begging
movie.
to be fact checked right now.
Okay. When I say this, you know, as a rule, whatever happens, it's my fault. And that's just so you can sleep. And now you guys know that this is all true.
Yes.
Door test. If she doesn't pass, Sonny says she's a selfish broad. And all you're seeing is the tip of the iceberg. You dump her and you dump her fast.
There's a lot of tests in this movie.
Did you do it?
The
You
door
and Phoebe?
test?
Yeah.
I think that our relationship, once we had, because we were in New York, so once there was a car involved, I think it was like auto lock stuff going on.
Okay.
You know, so it was hard to tell.
The door
You
test doesn't
just
work
dodged.
anymore.
You
Yeah,
dodged in a
I
big way.
dodged.
You know what
Yeah.
else doesn't work anymore? The Mario test. If that girl
Don't be a
goes down
psycho
on the old
racist.
Bourgeois with the trucker watching, she's a pig and she can't be trusted.
The
I've
Mario-
never tested this one out, and I would not recommend the Mario
the
test.
Mario test is so fucking stupid. This
Yeah, like
group
this
of
guy's
friends-
even in a car.
That guy should be like honestly castrated for that.
Yeah.
Like that idea.
Well, he
Like,
ends up burning to death in a car,
Yeah.
so it
And
all
the
works out.
funniest burned to death. I can't wait to talk about that scene.
The $20 rule, where it's like, why worry about this guy who owes
Oh,
you
you get to
$20?
buy him off
Just-
for
yeah,
$20.
just for $20,
Yeah.
you never have to
Never
think
That
about him
by
again.
far is the truest thing in this entire movie. It's not even close by far. You loan somebody some money and you don't. I loan people a lot of money. Y'all are white, so y'all don't really know poor people like that. But I it's facts. But I have a lot of people that rely on me for different stuff, And the most
Chris and I made the exact same face when you said that. The exact same face.
it's what I expect. But like when you loan somebody some money and then they
Sean loans me money all the time. Like, let me get 20. Let me hold 20.
That's why you fear me. Yeah.
3 great women. This is what Sonny says. You're only allowed 3 great women in your lifetime. They come along like the great fighters every 10 years. Rocky Marciano, Sugar Ray Robinson, Joe Louis. Sometimes you get them all at once. Me, I had my 3 when I was 16. That happened.
Peaked early.
And then it's like, maybe she's your first great one. I don't know if this is true, but just awesome. I just love crazy theories like that can't be proven. It was like, oh yeah, the 3 great women theory. Did make me go back and
I wonder if
my
that's
thoughts.
Like pre-Hinge Tinder thinking. You know, like I wonder if we have to expand that to like 9 now because people just
you
meet
think
people.
that there's more great women that you meet
less.
on the
No,
thing?
I don't know. I've never used those applications.
I haven't used them either. Why are you guys looking at me like I be on Tinder or Hinge? What do you think about the 3 great women situation?
I'm still working through white people don't know about being poor.
No, I didn't say you don't know about being poor. I said you guys probably don't know.
Sean married his high school girlfriend, so I don't know if he got the three great women.
Sean's other 2 are going to come when he turns 70. It's going to be a really bad beat for him.
It's a great line of movie dialogue that doesn't really.
Yeah, I don't know. I like it. I respect it.
Because he says they come along every 10 years, and then he says, I got all 3 of mine when I was 16. Like, he confused me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Mickey Mantle theory about, he says, is that what you're said about? Mickey Mantle makes $100,000 a year. How much does your father make? You don't know. We'll see if your father can't pay the rent. Go ask Mickey Mantle and see what he tells you. Mickey Mantle don't care about you, so why should you care about him? Nobody cares.
I would love to see Sonny go on the herd. You know? And Colin's like, top 5 NFC quarterbacks. And he's like, none of these guys care about you. Justin Herbert's not thinking about you at all.
It is true. You do learn this as a sports fan at some point in your life. Where you're like, oh yeah, these people don't care about anybody.
Deion Sanders taught me that lesson.
Really?
Deion Sanders wins a Super Bowl with the 49ers. I'm all into it, whatever. And he signs with the Cowboys. And I was like, this is a bunch of bullshit. I still love Prime, but I'm like, that's the moment. And my dad looked at me like I was stupid. He was like, what do you think? They paid him $35 million. Like, what he's going to do? It's like, how could he go to the Cowboys when he was just with the 49ers? And my dad was like, go clean up your room or something. You know what I mean? So like that, I learned that lesson then.
Roger Clemens taught you that?
Yeah, mine was
Roger Clemens.
Yeah. Johnny Damon was a more jarring one, I think, to a different generation when he just signed with the Yankees after 2004.
Yeah.
People were like, oh my, like they just couldn't believe it, but this is sports. A couple more.
I don't know. I never had any success, so I could never have heartbreak.
Yeah, Sean just said heartbreak is so left. There's only 3 things you can do in the joint: lift weights, play cards, or get in trouble. I don't know if that's true or not.
But he does the 4th thing.
Yeah, he does the 4th thing, which is read. Sometimes in the heat of passion, the little head tells the big head what to do. And then
you can use that for prison too.
And then finally,
that's another thing that goes on in the joint.
And then being Catholic is great because you can just go to confession and start over every week. I thought that was a good one.
That's true.
Anyway, those are the lessons. I would say the best, greatest lesson from this movie is probably that nobody cares. Worry about yourself. I like that one. All right. Rewatchable scenes. Meeting everyone in the bar, which is just a borderline Goodfellas ripoff.
Not the first of a few.
Right. But it's like De Niro's doing it. So what's the ruling on that?
I don't like it at all. It's one of the only things in the movie I don't like. I'm like, this was 2.5 years ago that Goodfellas came out. And when it came out, people were like, this is a masterpiece. And one of the most memorable scenes in the movie you're basically regurgitating.
Yeah.
In a voiceover.
I'll go as far as to say it's my pee break.
Yeah. It's not.
What?
Yeah.
You get to meet Eddie Mush, Tony Toupee, JoJo the Whale, Frankie Coffee Cake, Jimmy Whispers, Danny Kayo, and Bobby Bars.
None of them are
You're
as good
peeing?
Is Mike the Killer.
Where do you stand, Van?
No, I mean, the whole movie, the beginning of the movie to me is a total ripoff of Goodfellas. Like the whole time that he's a kid. I mean, I like the scene. It's cool. It's those guys don't really mean as much to the film as the motley crew of the guys in Goodfellas mean to the film. So it's like, it's cool.
Legend has it his shadow killed the dog. JoJo the Whale.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Sonny had 5 fingers, but he only used 3.
That's in the play. Like he does the whole thing.
Next one, after Sonny kills a guy and then the police line up. You did a good thing for a bad man.
Mm-hmm.
Sonny asked to see C right to the crap scene. That's where we get Mickey Mantle. That's where we get to watch Mush play craps. He rolls a 12.
Gets put in the bathroom.
The kid, we get all the guys going to the bathroom.
That's great.
We get the kids throwing the dice. We get Frankie Coffee Cake. Put a towel over your head if you want to stay there.
No good.
Fucking brutal.
Go to the bathroom.
2-2 in the hard four. Just an elite crap scene.
Mm.
I would dare say it's in the running for best movie crap scene.
Hard 8.
I was going to say Philip Seymour Hoffman in Hard 8 is pretty good.
Yeah.
The first PTA movie. There's got to be other ones. Is there one in Casino?
Is it? I don't think there's a long crap scene. If there is, I mean, they play craps, but I don't think it's like as elaborate as this. Do you play craps, Bill?
It depends on the table. Craps always has a bad ending because the whole point of craps is eventually you crap out. And nobody wants to leave a hot craps table.
Whereas blackjack, you just win forever.
Well, blackjack, you have built-in breaks.
Yeah.
And you could be like, oh, new dealer, new hand. All right, I had a good run. I'll get craps is like you just feel when it's going well, you feel like you're on the ride of your life, and then all of a sudden it flips.
Yeah.
And
You
that's
gamble?
what they want.
Not at all.
I didn't think so.
Not at all. Just, remember the snot boogie situation from The Wire? Remember that?
Yeah.
Get beat up, snot boogie. Like it always goes bad. That was like I never got into like losing money. I'd rather spend my money on other things like pina coladas, like stuff like that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
But
That slowly poisons your body.
yeah, but it still makes you feel good for the.
Yeah.
Damn it! Now you got me rethinking the pina colada.
Craps
Rest in
really
peace, JD.
reveals traits lurking inside of people.
Like what?
Just you can kind of go off the rails on a craps table, or you can get angry, or like insisting, or people who bet against the roller that don't come by.
Mhm.
Wait,
It's like I'm rooting against everyone at this table.
Right.
Here's my money. Like just little things come out.
are they playing craps in Casino when he meets her?
That's what I. That's
Oh,
what I was
she's
saying.
playing
Yeah.
craps.
She's
She's
playing
playing with
craps.
the guy with the mustache, and she pulls the checks out of his pocket.
Yeah, that's got to be that's an
I stand
iconic
corrected.
movie scene. Yeah,
Next rewatchable is when he says, I noticed a strange thing happening in the neighborhood. When everyone starts asking, the fruit guy comes, brings some fruit.
Oh, yeah.
And then the dad makes him return the $600.
like another Goodfellas thing. Like they carry
Right, carry the
because
groceries.
crazy grocery
Yeah.
home because of respect. It's kind of the same deal.
It's very similar.
Yeah,
But here's the thing. It was all in the one-man play, which was out before Goodfellas.
Mhm.
So what do you do with that?
There are probably certain iconic moments in Italian American
Maybe
neighborhoods.
Scorsese ripped off the one-man play.
There you go.
It's probably Nick Pileggi, and I don't think he did. But I think that these things, like, of course, it's the lifestyle.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody ripped anybody off. It's like that was the lifestyle.
yeah.
I
That-
will say though, if I was Chazz Palminteri and I had written all that, and then I went and saw Goodfellas,
You'd be like,
I'd be like,
Fuck, dude.
God damn it.
yeah,
That'd be a tough beat.
Chris,
Mm.
it don't take much strength to pull a trigger, but try getting up every morning, day after day, and doing the watch and working for a living. Let's see him try that. Let's see who the real tough guy is.
The working man.
Talking TV with Andy Greenwald. The working man is the tough guy.
That's pretty good.
that's great.
The horse track, just for We've Been Mushed.
Yeah,
I mean, Eddie Mush, we didn't talk about him yet, but just becomes the iconic gambling
The cooler.
go-to reference that, Sal named his company Mush Media. Like, Mush is the guy. The go-to reference for, oh no, Joe House is trailing my Falcons bet. Oh no, he's going to mush me. Like, it's actually entered the dialogue. Next one is the $20 rule, moving into the loved or feared conversation, which we talked about. The biker bar, now used, can't leave.
yeah.
Famous line.
Cold.
I love the Satan's Messenger scene. Got a lot of questions about it, but I love it.
I have questions about it too coming up later. Look at me. I'm the one who did this to you. We have the 3 great women in the door test scene. We have Sonny saving C from the fatal car ride and the conversation we talked about after. Don't you trust anybody? No. It's a horrible way to live. Jane passes the door test. Sonny gets shot, just rewatchable from how well it's shot with that. And then I see that face.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then the funeral where he realizes nobody cares. We get Pesci. We get De Niro and Pesci in the same scene, but not really. They just kind of pass, which I like. And then when I would get older, my dad said I would understand. What do you have for most rewatchable CR?
I actually have Now You Can't Leave. I just always loved that scene. But I think my underrated one is just, I think it's after the crap games when De Niro comes into the to the bar and he's just like, stay away from my son. He's like, everybody in the neighborhood knows I'm like, I respect you, but like, don't fuck with my family. And he's like, I'm gonna give you a slap. I love that. I think De Niro's incredible.
That was my pick too. Yeah,
De Niro's incredible.
They're so great in that together.
I got Now You Can't Leave. It's one of the most iconic scenes. But I also have his friends burning to death in the car.
Honestly, yeah.
Crazy Mario. Yeah, burning alive.
I felt nothing for them. I was just like, good.
It's hilarious. Like when they became the Ku Klux Klan and they went to like kill black people and burn them alive. They're shooting at people. It throws a brother comes out like Mickey Mantle. Boom, like Willie Mays. Just shot right there. Boom, they burn it. I'm like, ha, good. Happy for you guys. Got what you deserve. It's fun. I watched it back like 3 times.
What's aged the best? I have the Craps game, by the way. If there was a channel of just gambling scenes from movies, I would probably check it out pretty consistently.
What would the name of that channel be?
The Gambling Channel?
But it's only movie scenes. It's not actually gambling.
The Gambling Movie Channel?
We have FanDuel TV, right?
Maybe if that's what FanDuel TV should do. They could have like 2 hours a day of just gambling
in movies.
Probably pretty cheap to license that, I think. Yeah.
It'd be fine. I'll talk
to them
about
You know what they should play, though? They should play movies that are like, that revolve around gambling. So like The Color of Money. Like with FanDuel TV tonight, The Color of Money. Like put that, they should do
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
gambling movies.
Did I ever tell you this idea? I always thought, you know how the channels all have like HBO has like 5 HBOs, Stars has 5, and I always wanted an all jail movie channel called Bars, BARZ, and it's just jail movies. You would go to bars,
I would
everyone.
watch bars.
Yeah, you would. You'd be on bars.
The shot caller marathon.
They get the rights to Oz. Oz is on at 8 o'clock every night.
Alcatraz, Escape from Alcatraz. Oh, you got a lot of good jail movies.
Shawshank.
You got movies that have jail in it. Face Off.
Would be like, good news, Bars has acquired the rights to Orange is the New Black.
It would be funny though if FanDuel like had a bunch of FanDuel like Black FanDuel. Like FanDuel After Dark.
FanDuel signature. Yeah.
Did you guys ever watch like the Black Stars channel?
Yeah,
of course. What are you talking about?
Okay, hold on.
That channel's incredible.
It was they played, realize that they played the same 4 movies like all week long.
Yeah.
It would be a
Barbershop Friday.
But it would be, but then every once in a while they'll play like Pelican Brief.
No, but is this really like a Black
this is the funny thing about it, is they literally had on this channel a rotation of 4 movies. And they would play them for like a set amount of time and then they would change them up. And then we started noticing, because it's not as many as they would think, then we started noticing, they started really getting like really loose interpretation.
Like Ghost.
Like a black.
Because Whoopi Goldberg's in it.
Why is Ghost on Black Stars? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on?
Stars knows who it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, go to the Stars movie line, Bear. It's like you're going to see Denzel multiple times.
Right.
You will get The Equalizer, and you're going to get the movie with
Lethal Weapon. I'm like, I don't think that's a black movie. You know what I'm saying? It was funny to watch it.
It's a good point. What's aged the best? Young Cologito, his hair, he's just like the perfect 9-year-old Italian kid with that big puffy.
Francis Capra,
I thought the actor was really good too. I thought he did
Veronica
a nice job
Mars
as a
legend.
9-year-old.
He was incredible in Veronica Mars.
I like in movies when mob guys make good guys offers, like you'll get $150 a week just to drop off some numbers, and the guy's like, I can't do that.
Adjusted for inflation, that's $1,300.
Yeah, that was no small offer.
Just to drop off some. That's amazing. Yeah,
how about 2 tickets in center field, right behind the Mick? I like that part. In the fucking Mick, man.
Yeah.
1960.
You hate the Yankees.
No, but I respect the Mick and Joe D.
I wasn't alive. You've made an allowance.
I wasn't alive for the Mick and Joe D.
Really close to no one's cooler than Sinatra.
No one's cooler than Sinatra.
Yeah.
You know who's in this movie? Sinatra.
Yeah.
When they wanted to be like, look how cool it is back then, they're playing Sinatra. I like the doo-wop Rat Pack soundtrack. Stickball.
Yeah, good game.
I don't know what happened to Stickball.
Stickball is aged the best.
I just like seeing it in movies. It makes me happy.
I love how the cut on the doo-wop song, when it flash cuts to the 5 guys hitting the stickball, and it's like, yep. That's a great little sequence.
Played an incredible amount of stickball in college.
You did?
Yeah.
Because
We lived on no, at Holy Cross. We lived in Wheeler, and it was a 5-floor building with this perfect like situation in front where it's like you could either hit it off the building or over the building.
Did you break a lot of windows?
Never broke the windows because they were strong, but it was, you know, people playing like in the outfield with, you know, holding a beer but catching balls off the way. I mean, it was like we were out there all day.
You played a real baseball?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what kind of balls
tennis
you
balls.
use?
Tennis
ball.
Tennis
Yeah.
ball.
Yeah, but
It's
then
just
if you hit the
it's wiffle ball now, right? That's what's replaced it, wiffle ball.
yeah, but tennis ball is more fun because you can really thump them.
I never played stickball before in life.
Jacko got hit in the balls once in stickball, and it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Shout out to that's what's aged the best. Jacko got hit in the balls. Baseball nostalgia in 1961. I was talking about like Joe D's 56 game hitting streak.
Mhm.
We have so much sports now.
Yeah.
And there's so much clutter of all these different records. But in like 1961, it was really only baseball. Basketball was just starting. Football was basically just starting. They didn't care about hockey. They cared about boxing and baseball. So when some sort of baseball record happened, it was like the hugest. It was like the equivalent of like 10 records now. You know,
I feel like I really
Throwing that
got
out there.
screwed on this one. Can I tell you why?
Yeah.
So this side of my family I'm talking about, my mom's side, all grew up in Queens, but all Yankee fans. Because the Yankees, there was no Mets in the 40s and 50s in New York. And they were diehard Yankee fans. And they are diehard Yankee fans to this day. My dad was born in 53. The Mets don't come around until he's
61,
8 years old. And he's like, I think I want to root for these guys. And my
because they were
grandmother
like the hot
didn't-
new thing.
Yeah, and my grandmother didn't have a strong enough influence to be like, don't be a schmuck. The Yankees are right here. And I've been stuck with the Mets.
But you could have had the same sort of self-determination that your father did. You could have been like, I'm a Red Sox fan.
No, because I was bullied by my father
Oh, okay.
into going to Shea Stadium. And I look at
But
C and how happy he is about Mickey.
But
It could have been me.
When you went to Shea Stadium, did you feel a real sense of inspiration there, or was it just something that's
I didn't have any other. I was never taken to Yankee Stadium. I wasn't told about the Yankee history and the greatness until I didn't know about it until I was 10 years old.
Damn.
I got fucked. It's brutal.
I have 3 more what's age the best. They pull off a narrator in this movie. As you know, I hate narrators. The narrator actually works. A guy with the nickname Zero. Just file that one away as a good one. And then Terrell Hicks, which we mentioned. She was tall. She was beautiful. She was classy.
Say it.
But she was black. And that was a no-no in my neighborhood.
Is Bronx Tale on Black Stars, do you think?
It probably was.
Oh, it should be.
My what's age the best
Yeah,
is,
let's hear some more.
Is mafia movies where guys go, get the fuck out of here! It's like actually has a 100% hit rate. Right?
Yeah. Good call. Anything for you, Sean?
I mean, the casting of the young people is really good. You know, like it's obviously what happened to Lillo Brancato is really tragic, but Terrell Hicks too, legend from Belly. I mean, she was. I don't know what happened to her. Where is she?
I looked it up.
Van has all the answers.
She's been married since 1999.
Okay,
shout out.
21
Good.
years.
It's nice.
And I don't think the industry was for her. She has very devout beliefs.
I see.
Christian beliefs. And,
And she appeared in the film Belly with devout beliefs.
Belly was, I think Belly was the
A
thing
turning
that she
point?
It was like a
she was like, that's too
Road
much.
to Damascus moment.
Yeah.
That was too
Okay.
much. I
It
think
was
Belly
mine
was
too.
much
Not
for
too
her.
much for me.
Yeah.
Loved it. Loved her and Belly
it.
as well. What's age the best for me? Interracial relationships. Every single Target commercial now, you see it. You guys know that. You guys see you guys.
Why are you looking at Sean like Sean has like a compilation of Target
I'm
commercials?
just saying, you guys see it now. You see it in the
You know
commercials.
what I see? I see it in the like prescription drug
Yeah.
ads where like every family is biracial,
Yeah.
We're
multiracial.
overcorrecting.
Yeah.
It's cool. Black
Dad
man.
uses Ozempic for his diabetes.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? We see it every time. It's like a black man, white lady, little Drake
Great.
running around. It happens every time. Obviously, racism is aged pretty well. And like this stop snitching neighborhood omerta that we talk about incessantly now
Yeah.
in hip hop and everywhere. Who's a snitch? Who's not a snitch?
Yeah.
Like the whole thing, like all of that stuff, it's still around today.
Kid Cudi Pursuit of Happiness Award. I mean, this movie has the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix. Beatles come together and all on the Watchtower.
I'm gonna zag. I'm gonna go the Donald Byrd song that plays when they
Oh,
That was mine.
come up.
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
right.
Christ the Redeemer.
Yeah.
That is mine.
Big Kahuna Burger Word, best use of food and drink. Little C, I guess, serving the coffees maybe. But
Once a
there's
week
not
steak?
lot of- there's
Once
that-
a week steak.
We
is
don't get like a
good.
chicken parmesan scene or any
Mm.
sort of like his mom making meatballs, any of that stuff. Den of Thieves, Benihana Award, scene stealing location. The bar is
Shea
pretty
Bippy,
cool.
man. Come on.
Which one?
Shea Bippy, the bar.
Is there
Yeah.
a kitchen in Shea Bippy?
Probably in the back,
That's what,
like the bar.
Why didn't we get any pasta
You get
sequence
nothing,
there?
yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you have for Great Shot Gordo, CR?
The Great Shot Gordo, I actually have the lineup, like when all the mobsters are lined up, and there's a couple shots down the sidewalk. But I love the way that they're all looking direct into camera, and that's C.
I had Sonny getting shot. I like when it slows down and the one face kind of moving,
Mm.
and Sonny doing the come here. It's just
I have to look. Is he gonna point though? Because like the guy, he sees the guy, and I'm like, you gonna say, "Hey, Sonny"?
well,
Like,
he
turn
starts
around.
yelling no.
Yeah, he
but
says
it's
no,
all
no,
happens.
no.
Oh, he starts
Yeah.
pointing. I can't remember. I got Terrell Hicks there, like on the bus.
Mm.
She just looks impossibly beautiful. It's like a really stirring scene, and it was like really, really awesome to me.
I had the scene where young C and his friends are starting to chase after the bus with the black kid on it, but then he turns around and his father's De Niro's in the window, and he like gives me this sign, and then it cuts back, and you see C kind of caught between the two worlds, right?
Yeah. Butch's Girlfriend Award, weak link of the film. It bothers me every time for a variety of reasons, but when C uses the N-word, it just doesn't add up. It's kind of just comes and goes. I know it's 1968, but it's just a really weird move. And it just feels like that's a complete deal breaker for Jane and the family. And then they just kind of, she's like, hey, I talked to my brother. It actually turned out you weren't lying. It's like, but wait, what about the last conversation? I don't know.
I feel like
I just wish it wasn't in there.
it is, I think, a fair representation of how easily influenced kids are when they're surrounded by people who are constantly saying and talking about bad shit. Like, teenagers are fucking assholes.
I want to hear you guys have this conversation.
Do you want to hear three
I
white
just-
guys talk about whether dropping the M-bomb and that
I want to
makes
know.
sense?
I want to know whether
I think
or not-
he's from where he's from.
So this is what I'd say. Probably true. And, the thing is, for me, the big problem with it was once you've heard it, once someone's gone to like that length to like insult you,
It's not like now we're boyfriend girlfriends.
they've branded
Yeah.
themselves.
Right.
They might be
Right.
now
Let's
that
go
they
get some pizza.
Yeah.
now that they've said like, hey, you're so upset and this is what you're gonna do. I've been through that. Now it's like we at least have to address it, right?
Yeah.
At least has to be talked about. And I think that was kind of the thing in the movie. I was like, all right, just move on. I know her brother lied, but her
Wasn't
brother
great.
also heard you call her that. So it's like, whatever.
What's age the worst other than the rampant 60s racism? The door test. Now we don't have the pop-up knobs, so that's hasn't aged well. Lillo Brancato Jr. has not aged well. I don't love C's run at the end, the When Harry Met Sally long jogging scene, when he's just over and over again. You hear this voice like, I gotta tell Sonny. I gotta tell him.
A lot happens.
He saved my life.
in like 2 hours of
Yeah.
that guy's
Mhm.
life. Like where it's like he misses out on the car bomb. He goes back and forth to the black neighborhood. He goes to see Sonny. Sonny gets killed.
Yeah.
Like a lot happens.
A lot of jogging. He's
And a
somehow
lot
not
of running.
sweaty at the end of
Yeah.
it. And then the Bronx Tale became a musical, which I found out during the research, and I didn't like that idea.
No.
I'm just putting that in What's Age the Worst. What else do you have?
Wasted talent. Like, was it like that? I don't
know. I didn't find it on YouTube.
What are the songs? I don't even understand.
I don't know.
I've
did
had like
it.
a lot of doo-wop
Okay.
stuff. Yeah.
What do you have for What's Age the Worst, CR?
The Mario test.
Yeah.
The Mario
Good
test.
call.
And also just generally being like, look at those broads over there.
Yeah.
This is not something.
Anything for you?
Just the racism stuff.
Yeah.
I think Molotov cocktailing an entire neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's pretty low on the list. Also, shooting people in the street. Not.
Broad open daylight.
You don't see that too much.
Yeah.
these
Probably some
days.
cell phones out now. Ron Burgundy Flute Award, best time for a pee break. So you think
I find on repeat
the
watching.
Goodfellas?
I like to
ripoff?
get through the Francis Capra section as quickly as possible and get to the Brancato section.
I think when he's jogging near the end before Sonny gets shot, great time to just get one out.
Scoot away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's great? Honestly, for me, and I went through this honestly, it's the very beginning.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That's what yeah.
Yeah, just like all the like doo-wop was on the corners.
Yeah.
I loved food. You know, like it's like, all right, man.
The
just
Mick
fucking
was
start-
playing center field.
Yeah, like fucking shoot somebody in the head. Like,
Right,
yeah, movie
honestly,
going.
Yeah,
Like,
honestly, it's the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like a scene, it feels like a one-man show.
Yeah.
Right.
Like he's explaining the setting.
Better title for this movie, I'm going to say no. They also worked the title into the movie.
Yeah.
As you
Yeah.
know, one of my
Yeah.
favorites.
I have a title.
What do you got?
Goodfellas 2, Jungle Fever.
that would work.
Goodfellas
Yeah.
2,
Yep.
Jungle Fever.
That was probably the alt.
It's really
Yeah.
a combination.
That was the
That's what
working
it's called
title.
in China.
That was on the scripts. Best quote, saddest thing in life is wasted talent. Who has a Stephen A. Smith hottest take?
I do.
Did mine. All right, let's hear it.
Lorenzo had to take that money on the bus, man. Like we're talking life-changing money at that time.
Just bringing some numbers
Also,
around.
like if he takes the money, you could say that the sort of like butterfly effect from him taking the money is like maybe a couple of people don't lose their lives. Maybe there's less racism in the Bronx.
I'm taking it one step further. Lorenzo's a bad dad.
Yeah.
That's mine.
Really bad dad.
And him being like the MTA might come down on me. It's like for running numbers. Like, are we really like that? Is that stringent oversight?
He's dishonest because he tells his son he can be anything he wants to be. He can be anything in the world that he wants to be. But the working man is the real hero in the universe. And it's like the working man is the person who gets fucked in this society. And everybody knows that now. Look at our world right now.
Yeah.
That was the wrong message. That was not right. No, you don't have to live exactly like Sonny, but that was wrong.
He should have said to see you need to be a content creator.
That's right.
Exactly.
So would you have had Lorenzo's wife maybe started an affair with Sonny? Maybe
Oh,
she goes bring
the
him
great
some
Catherine
meatballs. And
Narducci?
then,
Oh my
yeah, then
God.
she starts going.
Marty
She
Bucco's
thought about
wife?
it.
Yeah.
She was just like,
she thought about
you're
it.
turning
She had
down
her eyes on the
150 a
prize.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had her eyes on the prize. She didn't want to give back the money that C
The
had made.
600,
yeah.
I literally have written down, I wanted Sonny to be his dad. Lorenzo was getting on my nerves. Sonny to me was a better father, man. Sonny's gonna take him further in life.
Yeah.
Chose the wrong dad.
Casting what ifs. The aforementioned Catherine Narducci brought her 9-year-old son to the open casting call to audition for Cologito. And they were like, hey,
Are you saying Cologito?
Cologito, that's how you pronounce it.
With even though it's ERO?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Cologito.
Can you say it now?
Half Italian.
I mean, he gets it. He's got the
Cologito.
ethnic.
Well, she grabbed it.
Like-
And Van, when did we then see Catherine Narducci?
Sopranos.
And who did she play?
She played Artie's wife
Oh yeah.
in Sopranos. Artie's wife. She slept with Tony, but she made
I
her
always thought
choice.
she was kind of smoking on that show.
She was.
Yeah.
And she remember Carmela
good
hit her
job
with
by her.
told her to come over like this, and then that
Mm.
broke them up, and then she had to tell Carmela she slept with Tony when Carmela went away.
I mean,
Yeah.
how can you resist Tony? He
Artie
so
was
irresistible.
so unhappy in his marriage.
Yeah.
He's
That's
trying to
tough
have
marriage.
Yeah.
Frank Vincent, our guy,
Mm-hmm.
was to appear in a scene as the boss of the Mafia family and they ended up not filming it.
Mm.
You know Frank Vincent.
Yeah.
And then the guy who
Feel
played
retarded.
Sonny's killer at the end of the movie was an actor named Philip Garbarino. And he lost out to our guy Lillo Brancato Jr. for the role.
Mm.
Wow.
So that was how they worked him in. Overacting award, $20 Louis.
I was gonna say the kid who's young Tommy in Goodfellas, the crazy racist one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Best that guy award, Kathleen Narducci, not eligible.
I think she would be up there with me and Dominic Lombardozzi, but I think he's kind of now become.
I feel like he's Dominic Lombardozzi between The Wire and then Entourage for
Okay.
sure at the top. I have Jimmy Whispers. I don't even know what that guy's real name is, but he's been in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Mm.
And he's just like, oh, Jimmy Whispers. I don't know what his name is.
Clem Caserta.
Deion Waiters Award, honorable mention, Eddie Mush,
This is easy.
but it's got to be Pesci.
It's Pesci.
Yeah, Pesci.
It's like the definition of Deion Waiters.
Yeah.
Pesci doing his Irishman character
A little bit.
Yeah.
like 26 years early.
Quiet, even keeled.
Yeah, just like that little
powerful.
smirk on his
Yeah.
face, but like nice, calm demeanor. Recasting couch.
Do you watch The Irishman? Did you see that?
Seen it.
What'd you think?
I came around. Don't be a dick.
Okay. All right.
We've litigated.
It's
this.
a masterpiece.
It's really good.
Did you watch Wick 4 yet?
Still haven't.
God,
You haven't
damn it.
seen John Wick
Jesus
4?
Christ.
I'm saving stuff.
I want you to just. I want to
For
join
what?
you to join us. In
Can't say
It's gonna
you're
happen.
missing out on the best dressed film character of all time.
John Wick 4.
Yeah,
Bill
not John
Skarsgård?
Wick. Oh my God, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. You should watch the movie just for the wardrobe.
That's not why Bill watches
Wick
John
4
Wick
is like an
movies.
instant rewatchable.
I know.
It's fantastic.
I'm just waiting.
Okay.
I'm waiting for the perfect time. Recasting Couch. I don't love his friend group. Just from an actor standpoint, feels like we could have gotten.
It would have been
one
tough to
actor
go
who's
to
famous
like
now.
any actor with career prospects and
Yeah,
be like,
true.
do you want to play the most racist person ever?
I just wish there was like somebody we knew now in there. Like it would have been funny if like Adrian Grenier was one of
Just
the
like
four.
Chalamet.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Yeah,
like-
They're so one note though. They're such bad movie characters.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, but maybe
It's like-
that's maybe better actors would help. Half-assed research. Chazz says Sonny was based on a guy, two guys that he knew, and he combined their personalities into one person. But he did have a killing that he saw as a young boy, and he said his father was named Lorenzo. He was a bus driver.
Hmm.
Chazz's real name is Cologido Lorenzo Palminteri.
Oh,
Most successful Chazz for you?
Mm,
Or Chazz from Back
Chazz
to
Ebert.
School? Chazz Bono? What
is
were
there
the other
is
Chazzes?
there a Chazz?
Is there a famous Chazz
Is there a
athlete?
favorite Chazz athlete? I was thinking so. Isn't there a Chazz? No, I don't know.
I think he's the most
Famous
successful.
Chazz?
Yeah.
Most
Congrats
Chazz.
to him.
Do you think that he gave himself the name Chazz?
I think unfortunately, yes.
It's a little tough.
Yeah. They couldn't find somebody to be Eddie Mush.
Should I just be like, call me Chazz from
That's
now
what
on?
I'm saying. Like, imagine one day you were like, I'm Chazz now, guys. You're like, you're not. No, you're not. You're Sean.
Colosio.
They couldn't find anybody to play Eddie Mush, and they ended up finding the real Eddie Mush, and his name is Eddie Montanaro. And they cast him, and the first day they cast him, it rained on the set, and they couldn't film Eddie Mush.
Hmm.
The biker bar fight scene. This was in the research. Some people think that was Rob Schneider as one of the people,
Yeah.
and it's not.
It's
But
not.
I like to think it was Rob Schneider.
You can tell who it is that they think is Rob Schneider, but it's
Mhm.
definitely not Rob Schneider.
And then De Niro did get his commercial driver's license,
love
Class
this.
B, and
He
could
tried to
actually
get it in
drive
Boston and they
buses.
wouldn't let him.
Yeah. So that happened. Apex Mountain, De Niro, no. Chazz, it's this or Usual Suspects, but it's probably this, right?
Well, so Suspects is definitely a bigger movie,
For sure.
but he's not as central to Suspects. And this is his whole
I would say
fucking
it's
life
this.
thing.
Brancato, yes. Pesci, no.
I feel like Chazz, it's the next year because he gets nominated.
Leading to
for,
you.
He gets nominated for Bullets Over Broadway for an Academy
Oh,
Award.
that's
yeah.
right.
Oh, he sure does.
So I feel like
Okay.
it's
You always put so much stock in getting nominated for an Oscar.
he's on a show that 50 million people watch.
Yeah.
You know,
Ches Bippy, Apex Mountain.
For that place, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
Social clubs, Italian social clubs.
Ches Bippy sounds like that could have been an athlete. I don't know what sport, but it's like, we did
Bippy.
Ches Bippy in the second round. We're excited.
Mhm.
Crap scenes, I'm going to say yes.
I gotta go with Goodfellas, man. Not
Father-son
Goodfellas, Casino.
yeah.
father-son movies, probably not, but in the conversation. Kathleen Narducci, no. Sopranos.
Racist getting burned alive.
Racist getting burned alive? I don't know.
Apex.
Okay.
Can't think of another movie. where I
Italian
was-
movies, no.
Italian movie? Oh, it's a movie's about Italian people.
I got tickets in center field right behind the Mick.
I feel like
Apex Mountain.
isn't Django Unchained really more the the end of Django
Oh.
Unchained? Racist getting
Oh,
burned
racist
alive.
This is where Sean.
really do get burned up in that.
That's the best one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna spin that one when I get home. Just
it's
for
great.
fun.
The last
Yeah.
5 minutes of that movie, fucking amazing.
Yeah, well, you guys better work. You're gonna join him in the by and by. Boom, shoots it. That's the best.
Apex Mountain for bus drivers in movies. It's just
Apex?
it's this or Annie and Speed.
Oh,
Well, the original guy in Speed who ends up getting shot.
Yeah.
yeah. What's his name? Like
What was
Frank?
that guy's? Yeah.
Yeah, he's the same guy from the 5 Heartbeats that they have to get him off the bus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like that guy.
Or Eddie? Is his name Eddie? What's his name?
In Speed,
Yeah.
I can't
Where
remember.
Sandra Bullock keeps coming on. She's like, "Oh, hey, Eddie, what's going on?"
I
Like,
love,
her
there's
pals.
nothing better
Yeah.
than the just friendly repartee with the bus
Yeah.
driver from the Harry
Annie,
lady.
you're late again.
Oh, Eddie, almost left without you.
I just watched Speed. What a thrill!
That's
It's
such a
incredible.
great movie.
Respeed?
I think that's
What
on the
a
live
thrill.
rewatchables list for the rewatchables
Nice.
store.
On a bus going down the 10.
You'll come to Philly with us to do Creed, right?
I will. We have to do Speed 2 Cruise Control.
No, we
No,
don't.
we really don't.
Nobody would listen to that. More people will listen to Black Hat than Speed 2, I think.
We'll find out. It's going to be between Black Hat and Country Strong for worst rated rewatchables.
I don't know. Michael Mann's got his
Wait. Y'all did Country Strong?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did it
years
for
ago.
Liz.
I didn't do it.
It's fucking awesome in the audacity.
Best racehorse name, Cologito. Three Great Women for a filly.
Is Kryptonite a good racehorse name or a bad racehorse name?
I think bad. What about Satan's Messenger?
That's really
That's
good.
a
Strong.
fuck-
That's
Yeah.
really good.
That was the
Great
bike
one.
gang's name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pickanits. This is an important one. Would a bunch of out of shape Italians really beat the living
This
shit
is
out
the
of a
first
biker gang?
fucking picking nit I have, Bill Simmons.
Okay, good.
We're on the same wavelength. I just don't see the Satan's Messengers getting washed like that.
I mean, it was like a 10-7 round.
And not to
With the stock.
not to
But
go-
But they are
bats.
mafia guys.
No, no,
And
no,
they came
not-
in with weapons. And
Yeah,
by the
they
way,
had
one guy had a
bats.
gun on them.
I want Solak to look at the tape here because there's
I
one
love
point
He would do
Where-
it right now.
Chazz basically has 5 guys in his blind spot. He locks the door, walks back to the middle of the row of the Satan's Messengers, and there are 5 dudes who could jump him from the back.
They're scared though.
And he's waiting for his boys to come in through the side door to go get them.
All of them are already heaving and out of shape and just walking 50 feet.
Yeah.
They're
and the
breathing
Satan's
heavy.
Messengers guys are like full of speed.
Yeah.
But I feel like gangsters have the fighting equivalent of dad strength. Where
Mm.
like no matter how fat or out of shape you are, you're really good
Oh,
at kicking the shit out of people.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
like that's like your superpower if you're in the mafia.
I'm pretty scared of biker gangs personally.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
pretty violent.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I do think that they lost their heart because these are the off-brand guys, right? These aren't the Hell's Angels. I guess they're supposed to be, but like they lost their heart. They had fear, and then all of these guys come in. And plus, a trope of these movies is that these mafia guys are supposed to be able to handle themselves, right? They're supposed to be good fighters.
Yeah, but I would say the same about Hell's Angels.
Fair
I
enough.
mean, I honestly, I don't, not to jump on sequel, prequel, like sequel would just be like Hell's Angels versus the Mafia Battle Royale. Let's
I
go.
love that. You know who was
Great idea.
not of any use in that fight? C.
See.
Yeah.
Yeah.
C was pussy.
Yeah.
Like C, but like C was like fucking
He's crawling out of
terrible
there.
in that fight. Yeah.
I know, from my biker gang Reddit boards,
Mhm.
they do not like this movie. They don't like how they were represented. Biker gangs. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's fucking bullshit. We would
Our
whoop
biker
those guys
gang.
out.
Our biker gang.
So little C, after the murder happens, the cops are at his apartment like 10 seconds later.
It makes no sense.
Bill, you and me,
It makes
this
no,
is
it,
why you're the best,
Thanks,
man.
man.
That's-
Thanks, man.
It makes no sense. Like no sense. The detectives are already there.
There's also 50 people see this murder and they pick the 9-year-old to be the star witness.
What?
Right.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, they don't
nobody
pick
else,
any of the
like-
other people
Yeah,
around.
they're like, oh, the 9-year-old didn't
It's a
identify
hole.
anyone.
Why didn't Sonny just kill Mush? Just take him out. Mush
Well-
mushes all the bets. Just fucking put a bullet in his
Well,
head.
he's paying them.
Yeah, but like when he shows up at the horse racing track, that's it. It's like, take care of this guy.
You want him to shoot him at
You
the
want him-
track.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a bit of an issue for Sonny.
So at one point, Kathleen Narducci, she's like, I'm going to go in and check on the baby. And this was when C is 9.
Mm-hmm.
Never seen again. Don't know if it's a baby brother, baby.
We
It's
know
a
it's a
baby's
sister.
sister?
We know it's a sister because he says you're my only son.
Oh, okay. So baby sister. But then
Eye for
we
detail.
jump forward 8 years. Just could have thrown in a little 8-year-old girl scene and mom making the meatballs.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, the mother disappears.
She does.
Right?
She's
She
not in
does.
the second half of the movie.
Yeah, so she's
Because
gone.
they cut out the subplot when she
I
starts
think she
to.
left him.
Oh,
I think she's
Oh, that's a
tired of
good
being broke.
yeah.
And she's sick of the fact she knows he had
I
a
don't think
chance to
that
take
divorce was very common in the 60s.
Yeah, you're kinda
Italian
stuck with your
American
spouse.
maybe
Yeah.
not
60s.
divorce, but maybe she's across town with her sister. She's living a good life.
Mm.
You know what I mean? She
The
moved
good
to
life.
Manhattan. Like it's like I think she left him. I think she got sick of his holier than thou poor bullshit.
What else? Nitpicks? Anything?
No, you took the 2 I had.
I'm
The Hell's
sorry.
No, it's all right. Hell's Angels
Should've
and
thrown it to you.
Eyewitnesses. No, it's all right.
Anything for you, Sean?
I just want to know how much of what he was doing was a purposeful homage to Goodfellas and how much of it was just like, I also liked this about Goodfellas, so I'm going to do it again.
Hmm.
Right.
Like a couple of needle drops that are just, there's like a Moonglow song in here. Ain't that a kick in the head? There's like a couple of things where you're like, you just did this. Like, why?
But the
Ain't
funny
That a
thing
Kick
is
in the
that
Head's
like
a good one. Yeah, why pick that
why-
song
it's
of
like
all the
Scorsese
songs?
couldn't say anything. He would have you if you're Scorsese, you'd be like, all right, Bob, you can go ahead and
I know it's weird.
steal
Though.
all that.
There's no shortage of songs or ways to tell this story.
Yeah.
I know a lot of it is Palminteri's, right? So he's following that, but I don't know. It's a little. It still rubs me a little the wrong way.
To me, the Joe Pesci part of it is the thing. That's the one thing you really didn't have to do that would remind people of Goodfellas. It almost seems like you were trying to stand on their block a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's totally purposeful, and he's
Right.
like, they're in conversation with each other.
Or they wanted a big actor for that thing, and he was tight with Joe Pesci.
Word
Any
up.
nitpicks for you?
No, just the one we already talked about, just the N-word situation.
Sequel, prequel, prestige TV, all black cast, or untouchable. The all black cast, other part of the neighborhood of A Bronx Tale is a really interesting movie.
And just call it
Mhm.
A Bronx Tale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to
And it's
redo
just the
this.
same movie.
Yeah, I got the cast.
Oh, here we go.
That Mahershala Ali. Okay.
Oh, so you're going full, but is it the same kind of?
No, I'm redoing this movie.
Okay.
Okay, so Mahershala Ali is Lorenzo.
Okay.
Sterling K. Brown, or maybe I got those, is Sonny.
I like that.
Shamik Moore.
I like that because he gets to go against type.
Yeah.
That's what's yeah.
It's like I didn't
Smart.
realize Sterling K. Brown had this side of him.
Shamik Moore is C. Y'all know Shamik Moore?
Yes.
Of course.
Okay. And then Terrell Hicks, Jenny Ortega.
Oh.
Jenny Ortega. Because if we make her white, it's a whole different movie. That's what if it's white, then that's what the movie has to be about. You can't do the whole thing. It's white. It's weird, and then you get in the situation where you have a bunch of brothers get burnt up in the car. I can't do that. So what we have?
You don't have to go note for note every.
Nah, but it has to be something crazy. So I got this. I think this should be made. I actually think a lot of times we do this all black cast stuff. It's just like for shits and giggles. A lot of these movies we're not going to be. But I think this would actually be cool, like a Bronx Tale, or just take it to somewhere else. You know,
I'm with you.
Detroit Tale.
You think Chris should write and direct it?
Chris, this is your thing.
You got
This
this.
is my story.
Yep.
This is your story.
I have an announcement, and it's based on this movie for the next category, which has always been, is this movie better? And we list all the guys. I think it's time to add Frank Vincent. Because
To add him to the movie?
no, to add him to the category with Wayne
Oh.
Jenkins and Danny Trejo, Catherine Hahn, and Steve Buscemi, and Sam Jackson, J.T. Walsh, and Philip Baker Hall.
Okay.
Just for Italian movies, whether it just would have been better if Frank Vincent was part of it. So I'm adding him. But would this movie have been better with Wayne Jenkins, Frank Vincent, Danny Trejo, Catherine Hahn, Steve Buscemi, Sam Jackson, J.T. Walsh, or Philip Baker Hall?
I think it would be cool if Wayne Jenkins had been the fruit peddler. And he was like, God damn, see? I didn't know I was dealing with a super gangster. I got a whole cart of fresh produce for you here. And some motherfucking peaches. Take these to your mom. And this cart is horse drawn. So I'm going to be going away a long fucking time, big boy.
Frank always wins.
Did you write that all
Yeah,
out?
I had to write
dude?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
I was like,
that.
I don't really
A lot
know.
of preparation
Yeah.
this time. I
Sorry,
like when
yeah.
he prepares. Just one Oscar, who gets it?
I was thinking of starting to give fictional Wayne Jenkins like an actual storyline that goes through.
Who gets the Oscar for this? Chazz, best
I'm
supporting?
zagging and going Chazz.
I'm going Chazz too. Best
For
supporting.
performance,
Best supporting. Yeah.
not screenplay.
Mm-mm. This screenplay is a little too sparse for me.
Okay. I think it's a really good De Niro performance.
I do too.
It's actually true. Yeah.
So best supporting actor that year, Hackman wins for Unforgiven, Nicholson, Few Good Men. So we just litigated this. Pacino, Glengarry Glen Ross, David Paymer, Mr. Saturday Night is the bad one, and Jay Davidson in The Crying Game. So you could argue Chazz could have snuck in there.
Yeah. He's good.
Yeah.
He's really good.
The Indian Red Zawatney Award for What Happened the Next Day.
I think it's an interesting choice that they don't show C and Jane together again. Like
Yeah,
the
so what
movie
happens
ends with
with them?
him walking away with his dad, right? It doesn't end with him, it's
I
not
think
about
him and
the,
Jane
the
are
romance.
done that night.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it's
I think the
over.
neighborhood gets a little dicey.
Yeah, the neighborhood's not.
I
That's
don't
not
think they're
flying.
like, you know
I'm
what?
dating the one guy left from the Molotov cocktail car.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember him? Those are all his buddies, but he's cool.
Yeah.
He's cool. He didn't go on the ride that day.
Cologito Molotov.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that one's a wrap. More unanswerable questions. We answered, was this the only normal movie marriage De Niro ever had in a movie?
The only normal movie marriage.
He's not exactly like a husband and wife.
It's a
actor.
volatile. He likes to portray a volatile romantic relationship.
What was the one? I used to like this movie. What was the one where he played the down and out guy, and he had the romance? Was it called Stanley and Iris?
Yeah.
Who was he with in that?
Is it Jane Fonda?
Jane Fonda.
Yeah.
One of he bought himself a car. She picked him up. That was kind of functional. Like he didn't even know how to read at first, and then they became, you know.
He has a kind of a nice little romance with Edie and Heat. You know.
So
It's totally normal.
just leaves her,
Just drops her off in the hotel.
drops her off, smashes.
All
her.
right, Sean, this is your big moment.
Oh my god.
Probably
Wait, I had an
unanswerable.
unanswerable question.
Oh, go.
We need to talk about this. Who plants the car bomb? That's never unpacked. It's like there's
Is it the guy who killed him?
no. Well, online it's like the Hell's Angels did it. There's a
Oh.
lot of discussion online
You
about
mean
like
Satan's messengers.
Satan's messengers.
That
did
checks
it.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But no, it probably wasn't them, because they sent an assassin in to kill him. So whoever's trying to kill him is probably the same people
And
that
that guy's
planted the
just
car
shooting
bomb.
him. He's not doing a car.
Yeah, you think that guy who's just like
No.
his dad got killed by Carmine like 10 years ago is like, I'm also a car bomb expert?
Well, I think that
It's Hell's Angels.
Well, it didn't
That's
work,
the right
though.
one.
I know.
That's why I believe it. That was my thought was that it was the kid who killed him, because it was like he tried to execute a plan and it didn't work. So he was like, my last option is I'm just going to kill him in
Oh,
broad
right, because he
daylight.
kind of goes down. It's like when he shoots him, it's like, I'm not getting out of this.
Exactly.
bar, right?
yeah, I think it was probably a hit that came from another crew. Another crew was trying to get him, and they tried to get him with the car bomb.
Why are you saying crew like that?
Because that's how they say it. Like, I'm my own crew. I'm crewed up. And they tried to get him with the car bomb, and it didn't work. So they sent that was a dummy mission, because he walked in there, you know you're not getting away.
Yeah.
All right, Sean, it's your big moment. Probably unanswerable questions. Chazz doesn't bet on himself. He sells the script to De Niro, and De Niro is playing Sonny.
Okay.
Martin Scorsese directing.
Uh-huh.
How is this movie different?
I mean, honestly, it's a lot better. I like this movie a lot, but when you're watching the movie, you're like, this is a first-time filmmaker.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's doing a lot of reverse
I knew
shot.
you would do this. That's
You know, it's like it's pretty.
I think you're
it's pretty
right.
straightforward. You know,
Yeah.
it works really well. But like you said, the best part of the movie is a couple of performances and the lessons, the ideas. The ideas of the movie are really strong, of being trapped between these choices that you have in your life and figuring out the best way to come of age. If Martin Scorsese shoots the movie, it's fucking exciting. It's thrilling. This is not a thrilling movie.
Yeah. There's a lot more of like a kind of cinematic energy to this movie if he directs it. But I also just cannot imagine him directing this after Goodfellas.
Right.
One of the reasons it's so rewatchable is it's so easy to watch, because it's like the best TV movie you've ever seen,
Yeah.
which is what I like about it. If Scorsese's in control, now that the biker fight scene is
Exactly.
now like one of the best 6-minute scenes of the 90s.
Right.
You know what the
Shit
thing about
like
the
that.
movie is? It doesn't feel like an important movie.
Yeah, it's very
It's breezy.
It's
Yeah,
straightforward.
very-
Yeah.
yeah.
It
It's easy
doesn't-
to watch.
Right, yeah. It doesn't feel like an important movie. It doesn't take a lot
You know what
of
we
effort.
never really figured out is why the bikers were in the Bronx anyway.
Well, that was what I was going to say. It's like, are these supposed to be the Hells Angels? Did the
Yeah.
Hells Angels hang out in the Bronx? Like, I don't.
That's
what
why
it-
they were the Satan's messengers.
Satan's
They were like a
messengers.
rival
Yeah.
gang.
Yeah.
They didn't have the same juice.
Probably the rejects of the Hells Angels.
Yeah, but
Mm.
like, why are they in the like? Why stop in the Bronx?
Oh, but remember you said they were rolling up bars? You think they were just
Oh.
going around like messing bars up?
Probably.
But why would they do that in the Bronx?
I mean, that seems like a death wish, but
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's certain neighborhoods you just don't.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask the guys on r/biker
Biker gang.
figure it out.
There's got to be a
Hey,
version
guys,
of that,
sports
right?
guy.
Hey
33
guys,
here.
I'm back. One more question. CR, what's your best double feature choice with this movie?
It's not a very pleasant one, but it's Boy's Life.
Same one I had.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I like it.
I wouldn't call that a fun night in, but
Hmm.
It's a good one. I'll go with that.
what about you? Give me some Visconti. Give me some like a Neil
Rocco and his brothers.
Yeah,
Rocco
Italian
and his
Neil
brothers would be a
realism.
great one. Yeah.
What piece of memorabilia would you want from this movie, Van? The burned car?
The burned car, the Molotov cocktail that got thrown back, the baseball bat.
This is really easy.
Baseball bat is what I wanted.
Seized discarded baseball cards. It's like a fucking Mantle
yeah.
rookie in there. It's
Wow.
like 200K.
Oh, yeah.
Great call.
I had Sonny's car. Great car.
That is a great car.
What about Lorenzo's bus?
Lorenzo's
wanna have the
I
bus.
didn't have. Coach Finstock, saddest thing in life is wasted talent. Who won the movie? I'm going to say Probably Chazz,
I
right?
think Chazz.
It's like the poster. It's the director and wonderful supporting actor, or the guy who's like, this is my life story, and I'm like a star-making performance for me.
Gotta be Chazz.
I think it's Chazz.
You can make
too.
an argument for C, but it's Chazz.
I think it's Crazy Mario.
Who's
C, what's with you in these?
who's Lorenzo's wife in Black Bronx Tale?
I'd have to think. Because there's gotta be somebody. Maybe he doesn't have a wife. That makes it even more, single dad.
Can he have a white wife
I mean,
like a
you just don't wanna
pharmaceutical ad?
cast good actress.
I mean, you could we could. That would be funny.
Just parts for men.
She's just like Laura Linney. Yeah.
Right. That works. See, or not even Laura Dern, because she's down with the community. She is.
Yeah.
She's down with the community.
Ben Harper and Baron Davis.
Baron Davis.
Yeah.
That was she's down with the community.